Hey everyone, welcome to morning yoga. We'll get going in about 5 minutes. Grabbing a water bottle, a yoga mat if you practice with a mat, getting whatever else you need for your morning yoga practice. And we'll get going in about 3 minutes. And we'll see you real soon. All right, well, let's get going. First morning, I've noticed the time change. For the past few weeks, it's been nice and light out there at this time. Now it's not so light. Just interesting. Usually it seems to me to happen all at once. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, days are a little bit shorter. So working with a shorter day, I think the lighting is pretty good here. Finding the top of your mat. If you're using a mat, if not, just finding the top of your space. From your feet, finding your legs. From your legs, finding your spine, relaxing your shoulders. Long through all sides of the neck with a slight tuck of the chin. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as we line up each finger. And starting our practice this morning, just watching our breath as it flows in. And as it flows out, arriving here in our yoga space, ready for a morning flow yoga practice. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath with a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, finding a full body breath, bringing the air to the top of the chest, the base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. And as you breathe out, I'll encourage you to draw the low belly in and up to squeeze a little more air out, also providing structural support for our low back in any of these shapes and any of these sequences. To this deeper, fuller breath, moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction of the base of the throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your Ujjayi breath be a focus for your practice, always coming back to that sound and feel. Now taking the tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth, trying to keep that connection throughout the practice, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our bodies. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, hands by our side. From here, warming up our shoulders, keeping it simple as we inhale the arms up and over the head. On the exhale, hands by our side. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Adding a forward fold. Inhaling, arms up. On the exhale, leading with the heart as we fold. Take a breath to lift chin and tail. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. 2 more times like this. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. 1 more time to go. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. So Namaskar. This first one I'll suggest no vinyasa. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, grounding down through your hands. And I'll invite you to find your down dog. If you really want to do vinyasa, go for it. As we hold this first down dog of the practice, I'll invite you to walk the dog as you bend one leg deeply, grounding down through the opposite heel. And then finding that same stretch on your second side. And then freely walking the dog between the 2 sides, stretching it out, seeing how your bodies feel this morning, what feels tight, what feels right, what feels somewhere in between. From this place of movement, I'll invite you to move back towards relative stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep, full breath. And then on the tail end of our breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you look between the hands and either stepping or taking a jump to the front of your mat. Taking a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. Inhaling, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one, just like the first, but I'll offer the vinyasa option. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out either back to down dog or cycling through vinyasa as you find yoga push-up. Inhaling into up dog or cobra, a little bit of a back bend. And then exhaling, pushing back to down dog and holding for 4 or 5 breaths. Let me turn that hall light off a little bright. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi breath flows in and as your Ujjayi breath flows out. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar. We'll add on if you choose. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Take your time. Find your flow. Follow your breath. In down dog, feeling free to hold down dog, or generating more tapas or heat as we inhale forward to plank pose, and then on the exhale, back to down dog. Let's do that a few more times. Inhaling forward to plank, on the exhale, drawing it back. Inhaling forward to plank and holding, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Holding the plank for breath in, breath out. One more half breath, breath in. And then on breath out, stretching it back to down dog and holding for another breath or so. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump to the front of the mat. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding. Inhaling, riding the breath up, hands overhead pose. On the exhale, standing tall. Surya Namaskar B. I'll invite you to find a chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Adding an extra breath, exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, I'll suggest a little back bend at the top, open heart, open throat. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or just stretching straight back. I've been joined here by Catherine, my wife. I'm going to try to get a little lighting a little bit better. Kathy, can you move towards the fan and maybe move up a little bit? Adjust the screen here. And then maybe move back just a little bit. Yeah, nice. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Moving towards a three-legged dog, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Looking between the hands as you sweep that right foot on through, landing it lightly as we find our warrior one, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge as we spin that back heel up, and from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Take your time. Find your flow. From down dog, we'll move towards that three-legged dog on our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky. High on the right toes. Now sweeping that left foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for our warrior one. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or just stretching straight. Wherever you choose to work, breathing, observing your breath, and enjoying that observation of your breath. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump to the front of the mat. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, fold. Coming back to a chair pose, stay low, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. Let's do one more Suriname Namaskar beat. We'll add a hip opening sequence into the mix, starting with our chair pose. Inhaling. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight. From down dog flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot through, spinning the left heel down, arms up and over the head for Vira 1. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Take your time, find your flow. From down dog, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as you stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that left hip. And then looking between the hands as you sweep that left foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head as we find our Warrior 1, our Vira 1. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. And again, take your time, find your flow, follow your breath. Nice. And again, as we hold down dog, coming back to an even breath and watching as it flows in and out. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Nice jump. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair pose. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, either keeping a light press of your palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding an isometric engagement as we press the palms together, elbows wide, shoulders engaged, a tuck of the tail, a tuck of the chin, as we connect with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. From here, let's bring hands on hips and let's shift weight onto the right foot. I'm going to go back a little bit. Either keeping the toes facing straight ahead, or I prefer to angle the toes out just a tad. And we're going to move towards a tree pose here. So we can either work a kickstand tree, we rest heel on ankle knob. We could work a calf tree. We might reach down and find a thigh tree as we bring our foot onto our thigh. We can either keep hands on hips, or we can bring hands to heart. Either keeping hands at heart, or we stretch those hands high to the sky. Pose feels wobbly, and I'll invite you to wiggle your fingers, supple twigs, supple branches, supple trunk. High hands become hard hands. Hard hands become hip hands. Let's swing this left thigh front, lifting the thigh a little bit higher for the flamingo, knee is bent. We're leaning a little bit forward as we go long through the leg. Lifting that leg just a little higher. And I'm going to sweep it on through as we come to our Warrior 1 prep. Hands stay on the hips. Lining up the heels, that's the traditional stance. Having said that, you could always go a little wider depending on your balance and where you want to be. Also finding a length of stance that works for your legs. You want to feel sensation, not too much. Steering the hips front, back hip front, front hip back. Bringing hands onto our shoulders, relaxing those shoulders and squaring the heart front. From here, finding a clasp of the fingers, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then I'll invite you to find a tray in front. Breathing in as we gather energy into our center of balance. On the exhale, offering it out. And let's do this a few times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. 3 more to go. Breathing in and breathing out. Last 2. Breathing in, breathing out. Last one. Breathing in, breathing out, and holding. I'll invite you to bring the elbows back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. Just enjoying the stretch. Turning warrior 1 into warrior 2 as hands find the heart. We open up the hips to face the side wall. You might kick the back foot in just a tad for heel to arch alignment. Having said that, if that's too narrow, feel free to work wider. And then finding one long arm looking out over those front fingers with a mixture of effort and ease. From here, I'll invite you to paint rainbows, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out, last 2. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's hold this last one. Breathing in and holding. As we reach up a little higher, that back hand scoots down the back leg a little further, taking 2 or 3 big breaths into that lateral front line. And then back to our warrior 2. From here, finding the rainbow warrior, a clasp with the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf, and then leading with the heart as we take a forward fold inside the front leg. And as we hold the rainbow warrior, drawing the shoulders up and back towards the hips, as we relax the neck and heavy the head. As we hold the rainbow warrior, I'll invite you to add a little swing, a little sway, releasing tension in the neck and shoulders. And then back to center, long through both side waists, long through all sides of the neck as any tension in the neck and shoulders drains down through the crown of the head into the earth.
Kind of impossible, I suppose, actually.
Pardon?
Kind of impossible, because otherwise you can't keep your head up.
To relax the neck, or?
Yeah, because you have to, like, if you're trying to do this, it's like...
You want to try to do your best. Yeah. A lot of times in yoga, we ask our students to do things that don't quite seem possible. And that's totally cool. Because in pursuit of the impossible, we start to find more possibility. From here, a tuck of the chin as we bring it on up. Lifting the chin tall through the crown, coming back to our warrior 2. Transitioning to Trikonasana, thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib, deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. Grounding bottom hand down in an appropriate place, setting the top shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky, with that mixture of effort and ease. As we hold the triangle with every breath in, finding your center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. With every breath out from that power place, getting bigger in space, 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine. Now exploring that lateral top line. I'll invite you to exhale that top hand front, turning our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. Now let's do this a few times. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Halfway done. Exhale. And inhale. Last 2. Exhale. And inhale. Let's hold this last one. Exhaling and holding. As we push into that back foot, strong back leg, long through the torso, the arm, the fingers. And now the bottom hand joins. We take that twist out of the torso, pure side motion. We breathe 2 hands up. And exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. 3 more to go. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last 2. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last 1. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers, arms frame the ears. And then either back to Trikonasana or finding your half moon. Take your time. Hand finds the hip. We step the back foot in. Right hand well off to the right as we set our base, shifting weight into foot and hand as we lift that back leg any amount, either keeping hand on hip or setting the shoulder and then stretching hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky with that mixture of effort and ease. Beautiful. And again, as we hold our half moon with every in-breath, finding your center of balance. From every breath out, from that place of power, getting bigger in space, connecting with the pulsation of the breath, the pulsation of the universe. Coming down with grace and control. Take your time. Hand finds the hip. We ground the back foot. We try to keep that hand down as long as you can. And then we shift the weight into the feet. So we want to minimize momentum, maximize core engagement as we come back to Warrior Two. And then a big windmill of the arms as you find low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Again, take your time. Find your breath. Follow your flow. Awesome. Nice. As we hold to down dog, I'll invite you to consider your hands. Lots of space between each finger. Grounding down more prominently between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up from the floor. Shoulders engaged, either keeping the neck relaxed and the head heavy. And again, this might be one of those things that doesn't quite seem possible. We're trying to do it and start to find more possibility. Or lengthening through all sides of the neck as you make your drishti, your eye focus, that center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. Wherever you are, always feeling free to stay there. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step. Or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart. Either keeping that light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding that isometric engagement as we press the palms hard, tucking the tail, tucking the chin, finding strength in your center. And then hands by our side. Moving towards that tree pose on our second side as we shift weight to the left, hands find the hips, either keeping the toes facing straight ahead or angling the toes out just a tad. From here, we can find either our kickstand tree, we can find our calf tree. We might reach down and find our thigh tree as we park the foot on the thigh. Hands either stay on the hips or hands find the heart. Hands either stay at the heart or we stretch those hands high, and if the pose feels wobbly, try wiggling those fingers. Action at the periphery stabilizes the center most of the time. High hands become hard hands. Hard hands become hip hands. We swing this right thigh front, keeping the knee bent, the toe faces down for the flamingo, balancing on one foot. Either staying here or leaning a little bit forward as you draw energy into energy center, lengthening through the leg. Lifting that leg just a little higher. And then we'll sweep that foot on through as we find our Warrior One prep, hands stay on the hip, finding a length of stance and a width of stance that works for your hips, that works for your body this morning. From here we can steer the hips back hip front, front hip back. We can bring hands onto our shoulders, relaxing the shoulders and steering the heart front. From here, finding the unusual clasp as we walk the fingers one over, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, and then finding a tray in front. From here, gathering energy into our energy center. On the exhale, offering it out. And let's do a few of these. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Halfway done. Breathing in. Breathing out. The last two. Breathing in. Breathing out. The last one. Breathing in. Breathing out and holding. As we bring the elbows back, the hands come with you. Cactus arms. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. Great go-to stretch at any time in your day as we find more openness in fourth and fifth chakra. From here, turning warrior one into warrior two as hands find the heart. We open up the hips to face the side wall. You might kick the back foot in just a tad, and then finding one long arm for your warrior two shape. Looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting rainbows, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhale and exhale, halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out. Last two, breathing in, breathing out. Last one, breathing in and holding. As we reach up higher, we creep that back hand down that back thigh a little further. Just really feeling stretch and length in that lateral front line, breathing into those ribs. Feels so good. And then back to our warrior two. From here, finding the rainbow warrior, a clasp of the fingers. Again, you might find that opposite clasp as you walk the fingers one over. Shoulder blades back and down. And then leading with the heart as you find that fold. Shoulders draw up and back towards the hips. And then trying to isolate, despite that energetic action with the shoulders, try to relax the neck and heavy the head. And again, it might not be easy. Having said that, in pursuit of something that's not so easy, we find more possibility within ourselves. Adding a little swing, a little sway. And then back to center, long through both sides waist, long through all sides of the neck, as your head heavies like a stone down towards the earth. Releasing any tension in the neck and shoulders, down through the crown of the head, into the earth. And we keep our neck stiff. We inhibit that energy transfer. In our rainbow warrior, I'll suggest a strong tuck of the chin as we bring ourselves up, coming back to our warrior two shape. From warrior two, transitioning to Trikonasana, thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib, deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. I'm a little teacup, short and stout. Grounding bottom hand down in an appropriate place, setting that top shoulder, stretching hand high, either looking down off to the side or up to the sky. As we hold the shape with every breath in, finding your energy center. With every breath out, getting bigger in space from the inside out. Now exploring that lateral top line. I'll invite you to exhale that top hand front as we turn our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. A few times. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Halfway done. Exhale. And inhale. Last two. Exhale. And inhale. Last one. We'll hold as we reach, reach, reach. Strong back leg, long through the leg, the torso, the arm, the fingers. Now bottom hand joins, pure side motion, arms frame the ears. We breathe two hands up. And exhale it over. Two hands up. Exhale it over. Two hands up. Exhale it over. Halfway done. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Last one coming up. Breathing in. Breathing out and then holding. As we reach, reach, reach. Wiggling those fingers. Arms frame the ears. And then either back to Trikonasana or Trikonasana on one foot. And again, take your time. Hand finds the hip, we step the back foot in. Left hand off to the left. Try to keep connection through 2 feet. Now shifting weight into foot and hand as you lift back leg. Now using that hand to set the shoulder. Nice. And now stretching that hand high to the sky. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Either looking down off to the side or up to the sky. And again, as we hold the shape, breathing into energy center. Breathing out from that place of power, getting bigger in space, connecting with the pulsation of your breath and the pulsation of the universe. So no need for the transitions. We tend to get eager to get to the next place. So, but we don't want to do that. We want to be as mindful as we are in the shape as we are in the places between the shapes. So I'm going to try to cue you through this very, very slowly. Kathy. Hand finds the hip. That hand stays down. You're going to bend that leg, leg. Try to keep the hand down as you ground the back foot. It's all about the core. Nice, beautiful. Now you shift weight into the feet. Lifting that hand, finding your warrior two. And then from here, a big windmill of the arms as we stretch out our shoulders, finding low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back, or maybe you choose another shape instead. One of my faves is the child's pose. Having said that, sometimes in the morning, it's a little much for our back, so feel free to hold all fours. Kathy has her palms up in the child's pose. I notice that she does that, and I think it feels really good on her shoulders, and she's making a choice that serves her. And I think that's an excellent, excellent thing to do. Now she's switched her palms down, just seeing how that feels on her shoulders.
It's actually the wrist too.
Yeah,
It's your tendons and your forearms that go better.
She's saying it's less about her shoulders and more about her wrists. Again, and that's a point of the yoga practice as we start to use these shapes just to explore various aspects of ourselves on a very physical level, wrists, shoulders, hips, and maybe some other levels too. From our down dog shape, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump from. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling forward. On the inhale, stay low. One more time this morning. We'll come back to our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart. A light press of the thumb against the sternum. Lining up each finger, a light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet. Or choosing to add that isometric engagement in hands by our side. So there's one Wednesday morning student that loves the swan, that loves the pigeon. So let's do 3 versions. Want to keep our audience happy, and I think Kathy likes it too. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. I like it all.
Like it all. All right, awesome. So hands find the hips. We're going to shift weight to the right. Angling the toes out if appropriate. Our first version of the swan, the standing swan, also known as standing half lotus, as we bring ankle on top of our thigh. Bending the standing leg as we sit in an invisible chair. Either keeping hands on hips or hands find the heart. Hands either stay at the heart or we stretch those hands high. High hands become heart hands. Heart hands become hip hands. We come back to the flamingo as we lift that left thigh high. Leaning a little bit forward as we go long through the legs, strengthening our psoas. Lifting that leg just a tad higher. And then sweeping it through as we find our warrior one prep. Steering the hips, steering the shoulders, clasping the fingers, opening up 4th and 5th chakra, elbows wide to the side. And then this time finding arms high to the sky. From here, gathering up the energy, palms face back. On the exhale, back to this cactus arms. And let's do that a few times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Halfway done. Inhale and exhale. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out and holding. And again, this is a great go-to shape any point during the day. Finding these cactus arms, this letter W. Elbows move back, the hands come with. We can wiggle those fingers. And then from here, I'll invite you to frame front foot with both hands as we spin the back heel up for low lunge, and from low lunge back to down dog, as you will. Take your time. From down dog, when you're ready, flow style, big toes touch heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, stacking the hips, lifted leg straight. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. Now looking between the hands, we're going to sweep that right knee through to right wrist as we find our swan pose. And I'll suggest keeping the knee joint bent. As we hold the swan, scooting that left foot back. My hips are relatively narrow, so I like to use that heel to support that far hip point. If your hips are not that shape, feel free to put that heel in a comfortable place.
Maybe in wellness.
Yeah, just find a place for you. Let's invite the swan to take a nap. So before we get there, shoulder blades back and down, and then leading with the heart. As we fold, more length in the spine, I'll suggest arms in extension if your forehead can comfortably come to the floor. If that's not the case, we could always cross the forearms, and if that's still not enough space, we could always find a pair of soft fists. You do want to feel that brow to surface connection as we release and relax the third eye. And this is a great place. Another thing many of us do in addition to clenching our jaw and work hard is furrow our brow. So with that brow to surface connection, just feel a smoothing of the brow as we clear our third eye. Wherever your arms are, I'll invite you to come back to center as we lift the heart high. From here, let's find a twist to each side as we find a perpendicular forearm on the bent knee side of things. Other arm out to the side, pulling back with that forearm as we twist towards that outrigger hand. Now coming back center, finding that other perpendicular forearm, other outrigger hand, pulling back with that forearm as we twist towards the bent front leg. Now coming back center, grounding down through two palms, tucking the back toes, and then I'll invite you to push it back to a three-legged dog. I'll invite you to give that lifted leg a little shake as we release and relax that knee, chasing away any congestion. And then grounding down through that foot as you find your down dog. Let's do one more palate cleanser here. In your down dog, I'll invite you to find hip circles as you circle your hips, any amount, just stretching it out. And then taking your down dog hip circles the other way. Coming back center, reestablishing that sense of length through the limbs, that sense of length in the spine. Deep, full breath. And we'll move towards our swan on our second side, getting there with that hip opening sequence. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as you stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. Awesome. And then sweeping that left knee on through to left wrist as we find our swan, scooting the right leg back as we settle our hips down, finding a place to park the heel of the bent leg in a place that works for you. For me, opposite hip point. If your hips are different shape than mine, that might not work for you, but finding a place that does work for you. Also just keeping the knee joint closed. Safer way to work the knee. From here, we want to shine the heart. The shoulder blades move back and down, and then keeping that heart shining as we move towards extension, laying our swan down for a nap. And again, if your forehead doesn't easily reach a surface with the arms in extension, feeling free to cross the forearms. Another option might be a pair of soft fists. You could also, if you have a brick handy, a book handy, other great places to work. And again, feeling that surface to brow connection, letting that brow smooth as we clear our third eye. The third eye is the chakra center. We know things without knowing how we know them. So it's a place, reason certainly plays a part, but so do other ways of knowing things. Our gut, anyway. In yoga philosophy, anyway, that happens in the third eye. Pardon?
Intuition?
Intuition, yeah, that's another way to say it. But I think it's also reason and intuition. All the various avenues of how we know things are true. From this place, wherever your arms are, I'll invite you to come back to a shining heart. From here, let's find our perpendicular forearm on the bent knee side of things. Other hand out to the side and pulling back with that hands as we find a little bit of a twist. Just breathing into the sacroiliac joint. That's where the legs connect into the torso. It's a triangular bone. Finding more space in that place as we find more freedom in our base. Now finding that other perpendicular forearm, other outrigger hand, and twisting towards that bent front leg. Intuitiveness. From here, let's come back center. Let's ground down through two hands. Let's tuck those back toes. And then we'll push on back to a three-legged dog, left leg high. And then I'll allow you to give that leg a little shake, a little stir, releasing any congestion in the knee. And then grounding down through 2 feet, reestablishing that length through the limbs, that length through the spine, as we find our down dog. As we hold the down dog, again, I'll invite you to find down dog hip circles, stretching out your back. And then if you haven't already, taking those circles the other way. You up for a crane this morning?
Sure.
All right. From our down dog shape, coming back towards stillness. Long arms, long legs, long spine, deep full breath. Tail end of our breath, bending the knees ever so slightly to lift the tailbone a little higher, a little more space in that lumbar spine. And then looking between the hands and either stepping or jumping to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding and holding. I'll invite you to widen your base as you toe heel the feet out, catching opposite elbows and gently swinging it from side to side. Switching the cross of the elbows, keep swinging it from side to side. And then back to center. I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your thighs. The chin is tucked as we slowly roll ourselves on up. Lifting the chin tall through the crown. Feel free to do this with me. Ears over shoulders. Ears and shoulders over hips. Ears, shoulders, hips over heels. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as your weight gathers in your feet. Or choosing to add that isometric engagement as we find the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. From here, let's go even wider with our feet. And I like to angle the toes out on this one. And we're going to rock it to a half squat. Hands find the hips as we rock it on down. When you find your half squat, we can bring knees over heels, elbows find the inner thighs as hands find the heart. As we hold the half squat, I'll invite you to keep rocking it from side to side. Now either staying in your half squat or moving towards Bakasana. As we ground down through 2 hands. The higher up you can bring your knees, the better. If you can find the armpits, you won't have to work as hard. Otherwise, you're going to have to squeeze the midline like crazy as we start to shift the weight into the hands to float either one or both feet. Awesome. This is a hard pose. And Kathy has nailed it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. From here, either grounding the feet down lightly or maybe unfurling the knees off of the elbows as you find chaturanga, inhaling into up dog or cobra, and then exhaling back to down dog and holding. And that's a hard pose. Definitely deserves a reward, and I'll suggest a child's pose. As we land our knees on down, I'll suggest arms in extension if your forehead easily reaches the floor. If not, feeling free to find that cross of the forearms or a pair of soft fists. Depending on your knees, you might be working this up a little bit higher. You might just have an energetic connection between the belly and thighs. Those of you with the ability to compress the knee a bit more, you'll probably find that physical connection between belly and inner thighs. As we hold the shape, letting your belly massage your thighs as you breathe in. Letting your thighs massage your belly as you breathe out. As we hold this shape, letting the warmth of the belly penetrate out into the thighs. Letting the warmth of your thighs, like a warm, friendly hug, penetrate through to the very center of yourself. From here, one of my favorite shapes, keeping hips and heels just as they are, as we take a side bend to one side, walking our hands to one side, stretching far hip to far heel. And let's hold this for 2 or 3 breaths as we hold the shape, either going to where you're going to go right off the bat, or maybe seeing if you can go just a little bit further as we start to make more supple east side waist. Now walking your hands through center and finding that side bend on the other side. And again, either going to your max right off, or maybe as we hold the shape, another breath or two, just going a little bit further as we find just another little millimeter of space inside ourselves. From here, let's walk our hands back center, and let's walk our hands in as we find a kneeling hero, sitting on our feet. I'll suggest unfurled feet to stretch out that place where foot and ankle connect. If that's too much on your knees or too much on your ankles, you could always take the weight of the body out of the equation as we sit on up. From here, one palm supports the other. In pursuit of softness, I'll suggest left hand underneath. In pursuit of more, I hesitate to say the word hardness, it's not a real yoga word, but in pursuit of more strength, maybe have right hand underneath. Again, I think most of us tend to be a little too strong, so the surrender is the hard part. So I'll suggest for most of us, left hand under is probably a good place to work. From here, let's bring our feet off to one side, and I'll invite you to go to the unfamiliar side as we examine our patterns of movement. 2 long legs in front, and let's give those knees a little love and consideration. A hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee, and then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. Second side, a hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee, and then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. From here, I'm going to suggest a long, slow roll down onto our backs. We can start from tall spine or neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum. From here, finding C-spine as we tuck tail and chin, and slowly, slowly, slowly lower ourselves all the way down. Nice. Kathy's going very slow this morning, which is awesome. You don't always have to move fast to get a good workout in. From here, I'll suggest full body stretch, arms overhead, not too low. We want to keep those ribs soft and drawing in. As she points fingers and toes, breathing in. You want to point those toes for me? There it is. Now flexing hands and feet as she breathes out. You can lay the head down if you can. Breathing in as she points. Exhale as she flex. One more time here, breathing in as she points. Exhale as she flexes, and you're a little crowded on that side, but I'll invite you to bring your arms to a T. Palms face down. From here, let's walk 2 feet in. And let's find our swan on our backs. as we bring right ankle on top of left thigh, either staying here or drawing the knee in towards the heart as we snake the hands through to catch thigh or shin. Our final version of the swan, just breathing into that right hip. As we hold the shape, I'll invite you to gently rock your body side to side, releasing any tension in the low back and hips. Also massaging our low backs. Feels so good. And then back to center, holding that, big breath into your back. And on your next exhale with that low belly engagement, I'll invite you to unsnake the arms as we ground down through the foot. Top foot stays flexed as we bring it off the thigh. Solidly grounding down through 2 feet as we take another big breath into our back. And then finding our supine swan on the second side, left ankle on top of right thigh. Either hanging out here, foot stays down, or lifting the knee in towards the heart as we snake the hands through, catching either thigh or shin. And then adding that side to side motion feels so good, like a boat bobbing in its bay, connecting with our movement, our breath, the solid surfaces around us. And then back to center, just taking a long, slow breath into your back. Now releasing the thigh or the shin as we ground that foot on down. Top foot stays flexed as we bring it off the thigh. Solidly grounded down through 2 feet as we take another big breath into our back. Let's take an easy supine twist to each side. Arms out to a T. This time I'll suggest palms face up. And then we'll let our knees fall to one side. And then if it's cool on your neck, you'll let your head languidly fall to that other side. Just breathing into your low back. With every exhale breath, just letting yourself get a little heavier, a little more settled onto the floor. Tail end of a breath on that exhalation, that low belly engagement. We can bring the knees back center. Big breath into your back. And then on your next exhalation with that low belly engagement, letting the knees fall off the other way. And if it's cool on your neck, you'll let your head languidly fall away from those knees. And holding this for 2 or 3 long, slow breaths as you breathe into your back. Tail end of a breath with that low belly engagement. I'll invite you to bring the knees back center. Bringing your gaze back center. One more shake before we lay down and relax. I'll invite you to bring 2 knees in towards your armpits. Soles of your feet face the sky, reaching up and either catching your ankles or the outside edges of your feet for the happy baby. As we hold the happy baby, I'll invite you to gently rock it from side to side, releasing and relaxing your low back. Feels so, so good. And then coming back center, coming back to a focus on your breath, watching as it flows in and watching as it flows out. Keeping this focus on the breath initially, I'll invite you to move towards your Shavasana. Long through the legs, arms out to the side, the palms face up. Giving all parts of your body lots of permission to breathe. Armpits, inner thighs, scooting the head back as you flatten the shoulders. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you this morning. Tip of the tongue now neutral in the mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. As we hold our Shavasana, I'll invite you to feel the front plane of your body falling into your back plane. And both planes of your body falling into the ground. And there's lots of support in that ground. Just settling. And we'll be here for a couple of minutes. At home, certainly feeling free to hold this shape as long as you'd like. I find if I hold my Shavasana 10 or 15 minutes, most times I find this immense sense of relaxation, shoulders and hips. And as we hold the shape, even letting that focus on your breath soften. As we find pratyahara starting to take our senses inside. I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. I'll invite you to move your mind before you move your body. Bringing your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in and out, much like watching a river as a river flows by. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation in and a long, slow exhalation out. And I'll invite you to toy with the ratio between the inhale and exhalation by letting the exhalation just be a little bit longer and a little bit slower than the inhalation as we pursue a more relaxing breath. Pursue in a very relaxed way, just letting it happen, finding that sense of surrender. Long, slow inhalations in. Longer, slower exhalations out. Keeping this more relaxing breath, I'll invite you to gently ripple your fingers and toes as we invite more prana into our bodies, more life force. Now drawing that prana, that life force in towards center as we gently circle the wrists and the ankles. I'll invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shimmy of the hips. Whatever feels right and good for you as we lay on the floor. Connecting with the most important teacher in the room. That teacher inside yourself. Your own inner wisdom as to what's right and good for you. Right here, right now. Now moving towards Apanasana as we draw one knee at a time in towards our heart. Hands catch the shins. And then using your thighs to massage your low belly as we gently lift and lower the low back and hips. There's lots of ways to do this. Follow your intuition. And if you haven't already, gently rocking it from side to side. Massaging our low backs. Releasing our hips. And then the next time you rock to the right, long through the right arm, rolling onto that side, letting that arm serve as a cushion for the head. As we share a long, slow breath here on the floor, I'll invite you to let that breath sigh out through your mouth. Softening your shoulders. Relaxing your jaw. Smoothing your brow. And then pushing into your hands as you come up to claim a cross-legged sit. I'll invite you to bring hands onto your knees, pulling back with those hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. Long through all sides of the neck as we tuck the chin ever so slightly. 5 fingers of one hand find the ground. The palm of the other hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we started, watching as our breath flows in. And as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart and bow as you thank yourselves for practicing yoga. And as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world, the light within me honors and respects the light within you. And in this light, we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you at home for practicing with us here in San Francisco. Thank you, Catherine, for practicing with me here in this room.
Thank you, Mark.
And we'll see you all real soon. I'm teaching live classes here in San Francisco. If you can join me, awesome. If not, we'll get together online sometime soon. Feel free to make any comments. Any feedback's always helpful to any teacher, no matter what the subject. Thank you so, so much, and we'll see you real soon.